Hello and welcome to Big Friendly Grub. I hope you're safe, I hope you're well, and I hope you're staying home. Now, at the time of recording, it is Easter, apparently, even though we are in the midst of this coronavirus pandemic and lockdown. Apparently, it is Easter, even though I don't even really know what day of the week it is anymore. I don't even really know what month it is anymore. What year is it? I'm assured that apparently it is Easter by checking the internet. So I thought, I'm going to do something normal. I'm going to do something that I would always do around Easter. I'm fed up with this pandemic ruining everything. So I thought I just want to do something that I would usually do for Easter, and that's make hot cross buns. And I want to show you how to make hot cross buns. I really enjoy hot cross buns. I never used to, but when I discovered how to make them myself, they're so much better than the ones that you can buy in the shops. They really are. You can just tailor them to your taste. You can put as much spice in them as you want. You can put dry fruits in them. You can put sultanas in if you want to. You can leave them out if you want to. Tailor it to how you want. I'm going to show you a version today which has sultanas in it, but it doesn't have the full recipe that I usually do just because I can't get hold of the things at the moment. I usually put some like mixed peel in there and some orange zest, but I don't have those at the moment. So I'm just going to show you how to make them with sultanas in today, but you do whatever you want. If you want to leave them out, leave them out. If you want to chuck like glacé cherries or something in there, do that as well. So I am going to show you how to make hot cross buns today, and they really are a lot easier than you might think. They take a bit of time, as with most bready type things, but they're really not as hard as you think, and they are so much better than what you can get in the shops. So I'm not going to muck about. I'm going to show you how to make hot cross buns because that's what the Easter bunny would want. That is the reason behind Easter, isn't it? No? Never mind, let's get started. Right, the first thing we're going to want to do is to make our dough. Now, like I said, this is not quite the exact recipe I usually make, but what I will do is I will put up the recipe that I usually do on my blog, so you can follow that if you want to, but you can always watch this video and do this version if you want to as well. So you have options, but to make our dough, we're going to need 500 grams of flour, and I'm using strong white bread flour because that's the best for bready type things, of course. You could potentially use plain flour as well, that would also work, but I prefer to use strong white bread flour. Then I'm going to put in 12 grams of yeast. That's quite a lot, but this is an enriched dough. We're going to be putting things like fruits and butter and stuff like that in it, so we're going to have a bit more yeast than usual. Then we want 10 grams of salt. Put that on the other side of your bowl away from your yeast, otherwise you will kill your yeast. And we want 90 grams of sugar. Put that on the yeast because yeast absolutely loves sugar and it will help it get really active. Then we want 50 grams of softened butter. Get in there. And we want 1 egg. As I said, it's an enriched dough, so it's got things like butter, eggs and sugar in it. Then because these are hot cross buns and they are beautifully spiced, we're going to want a whole bunch of spices. So I am going to be using 1 teaspoon of mixed spice, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of ground ginger, half a teaspoon of nutmeg, and half a teaspoon of ground cloves. And I'm going to put this onto my stand mixer. You could potentially do this by hand, but it will be a heck of a lot messier and will take a bit longer. Then I'm going to put this onto a medium speed and gradually add in 300 millilitres of warm milk. You might not need it all because it can vary sometimes depending on the weather, depending on the flour you're using, but I'm going to put in about 200 millilitres to start with and let that combine together. So that's starting to come together. I'm going to start slowly drizzling in the rest. I think I might need it all today. Might even need a little bit more. Let's see. So that looks about right. That's come together quite well. It's sticky, but it's not too sticky. It's not quite all of the milk. As you can see, there's still some left in the bottom. So probably about 270 mils that I use there. Now I can pop this back down and I can give this a good 5 to 10 minutes to knead so we get a nice smooth elastic dough, and then we can leave it to prove. Right, it's been about 7 or 8 minutes and this has had that long to knead, so I think that is enough. I'm going to get this out. So you can see that dough is a lot smoother, less sticky. It's still a bit tacky, but it's definitely less sticky, and that is what we want. That looks really nice, and it smells really nice as well. You can smell all those spices in there. So that looks grand. So that's going to go back into our stand mixer bowl, which I've just cleaned. And I'm just going to cover this with some cling film, make it as tight as I possibly can, and thankfully it's quite warm today, so this should prove quite nicely, and it's going to have a good probably hour, maybe 2, to prove and double in size basically. Right, it's been an hour and this has had an hour to prove, and you can see it's doubled in size quite nicely. So we can take this out like so. Knock the air out of it as well, like you would a loaf of bread. Flatten it down, and this is where we're going to get out. This is where we're going to throw our sultanas everywhere. Right, this is where we're going to get our sultanas in. The reason you don't do this at the start is because these can impede the rise of your dough, and we want this to have a really nice prove on the first go around. So that's why we put these in on the second prove. So we scatter these into here. We start to just basically work these into the dough. It's going to take a bit of working, but we just try and mix these through evenly through the dough as best as we can. It might take a good few minutes to work these in through completely, and they're going to go everywhere to start with. Right, those sultanas have been worked through quite well. They are all over the place, so we should have a nice distribution of these through the various hot cross buns. And now this goes back into our bowl, cover it up again with our cling film, and it has another hour's prove. This is the second of 3 proves it's going to have. So like I said before, it takes a while, but it's really not that hard. You just need a bit of patience. So just start it off in the morning and they'll be ready by the afternoon. It's really not a problem. It's just making sure you've got the time for it, that's all. So off this goes into a warm place for another hour. Okay, it's been another hour and this has doubled in size yet again. Knock all the air out again. Now we're ready for this to get shaped into our buns. So the best way for me to do this, I feel, is we're probably going to get about 12 out of this. I'm going to get my bowl back, pop it on the scales, set that to 0 and pop this in to see how much it weighs. 1.1 kilos, so I've got to try and divide that into 12. I'm going to say roughly about 90 to 95 grams per bun, I reckon. My maths is terrible. I can't do stuff in my head like that. I need a calculator, and I've got my phone recording this, so I can't even take it off to do the calculations that way. It's bad, I know, but I've always been more of a words and technology guy rather than a maths guy. But I'm going to do these roughly into 90 to 95 grams each. So I'm just got to take off a chunk, weigh it out. 94 grams, I think that'll be a good amount. That's pretty much bang on. I'm going to roll it into a ball for now. You can do it like this as well, and repeat that 11 more times. So there we go, I've got 12 roughly evenly sized balls. They did work out to roughly about 95 grams each, which is good because my maths wasn't totally terrible. These are going to now need to go onto a baking tray, and we need to get them spaced far enough apart that they've got room to expand, but we also want them when they bake to be able to join together. So I'm going to pop these onto a tray like so. There we go, and when these rise, they're hopefully going to be touching, because that's how we're going to get our crosses onto them nice and hopefully easily, as long as I don't make a pig's ear of it, which is always a possibility. But these now need to prove again, probably for another 40 to 45 minutes, maybe another hour. It is quite warm today, so things are proving quite easily. And I'm just going to cover this with a clean tea towel, and these can go off into a warm place, and off they go for another 45 minutes or so. It's been about 45 minutes, so we can now unleash the beast, or something less weird. Unleash the yeast, I should have gone with that. There we go, those have all risen up quite nicely, and as you can see, pretty much all of them are touching, or just about. So these are going to be very nearly ready to go into the oven, but we have one more step to get our hot cross buns to be hot cross buns, because at the moment they're just hot buns. They're not even hot buns, they're just buns. So we need to get a cross on them, and to do that I'm going to put these to one side just here, and we're going to need 100 grams worth of plain flour, and we're going to mix that with 100 millilitres of water, create a paste. Try and get out all the lumps as best as you can. Then once that's done, you're going to need to get yourself a piping bag. Well, that's not a piping bag, that's a glass, but we're going to put a piping bag into here with a fairly reasonable sized nozzle on it. And I'm just going to pop this over the glass because it makes getting everything into it a heck of a lot easier. Get this into here because it's messy, it's sticky. Then we pull up the sides and push down, and then we can bring our hot cross buns back into view, and we will try and squeeze ourselves some of this paste over our hot cross buns like so. You can do it all in one go. This is why it's easiest to try and do it like this. and get all of your buns touching, so you can squeeze over one way. Oh, it broke a little bit. Ugh. But it's okay, we're not professional bakers. These are going to be a bit rustic. And then we do it the other way, like so. And this is how we get the crosses onto our hot cross buns. There we go. We've got the crosses on our hot cross buns. They don't look too bad. Hopefully they still won't look too bad once they're out in the oven. Now these are ready to go into the oven at 200 degrees C. That's about 375 degrees Fahrenheit. I'll put all the conversions into the recipe and into the YouTube description. But these can now head into the oven. In these go for about 20 to 25 minutes, I would say. But I will check them along the way. Oh, that rhymes. Right, our hot cross buns have had roughly 18 minutes. I'd say roughly 18 minutes because I checked in on them and I thought, well, they look good. And don't they look good? Look at those. Those are lovely and brown. And these are almost ready. Just one more thing we need to do to make these looking absolutely brilliant is a glaze. In here I've got 2 tablespoons of apricot jam and a tablespoon of water just mixed together. And we brush these right now straight out of the oven where they are still hot, 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 to get a lovely shiny glaze onto these, so they look absolutely brilliant and delicious, looking pretty darn good if I do say so myself. These are probably some of the best looking ones I've made for a while. There we go, that's our hot cross buns all beautifully glazed, and now they just need a little bit of time to cool down. I'm not going to give them that much time to cool down, to be honest, because these are best served warm or preferably toasted. They are just fantastic when they're just warm toasted with some melted butter on them. They're fantastic. Maybe that's why they're called hot cross buns. I can't remember why they're called hot cross buns. A lot of about Easter confuses me. We've got the Easter bunny, we've got hot cross buns. All of it just confuses me. But we roll with it because, hey, at least there's chocolate and nice food. So those are looking really good. So I'm just going to give them a little bit of time to cool down and then we can try one. Or I can try one and you can try one when you've made them. Now look at those. Don't those look absolutely fantastic, if I do say so myself? I'm not usually one to big myself up, but those look really, really good. They've had about, I don't know, 5-10 minutes to cool down, not very long, because quite frankly, I don't want to wait any longer to get stuck into one. So I'm going to pull one of these off, or some other phrasing, that's a bit better. Let's go for this bad boy right here, and pull that away and see how soft that is. Look at that. Look how good that is. And you can see the colour of it. It looks almost wholemeal because of all the spices in there, of the cloves and everything we put in there. And it just looks. It looks so good. I just lost control of my words. It looks so good. Get myself a knife. Just cut it in half. It's still quite hot. It is indeed a hot cross bun. But that looks amazing inside. That's so soft. Look at that texture. That is perfect. So all I've got left to do now is just to quickly toast this, whack a bit of butter on it and give it a go. Look at it. Look at it. It's gone so well. Hot cross buns, 1 a penny, 2 a penny, hot cross buns. Oh yes, absolutely delicious hot cross buns, fresh hot cross buns made at home. Oh, tell you what, the smell in this flat is amazing now from the spices in this, and it just smells incredible. And there is nothing like homemade hot cross buns because they're so much better than what you can get in the shops. I know a lot of people feel like hot cross buns can be a bit hit and miss sometimes. They don't like all the spices in them. But because you can make them at home, you can tailor them to how you want. If you want more spice in it, do more spice. If you want less spice, dial it back. If you want sultanas in it, do sultanas. If you don't. If you want to try something like glacé cherries, do it. If you want to use chocolate chips, definitely try that because that is fantastic. I highly recommend getting some chocolate chips in there, getting some orange zest in there, a bit of orange flavouring, and they are absolutely banging. But just traditional hot cross buns, kind of like these, are just amazing as well. And I'm going to stop talking and try one because they smell amazing. The butter is melting. It's going to be so good. Oh. Oh yeah. Can't beat a freshly toasted hot cross bun. You really can't. Just with the melting butter in it. It is so good. And you can see they're really not that hard. They're not that much harder than like a basic bread really. I've just got extra ingredients in, just some extra flavourings. Need an extra proof because you've got to put those sultanas in it and then roll them into the shapes. So you've got 3 proofs instead of like 2 usually. But really it's more about patience. It's not a hell of a lot of skill, it's just patience, and that's where a lot of people fall down sometimes. They just don't have the patience for it. You just want to just do it in the morning, give yourself a bit of time to relax. In between the brews, just take your time, read a book, play some games. Now it's like the perfect time to try these out, because if you've got a bit more time at home, if you're not a full-time parent or something like that at the moment, as well as trying to work, then you could give these a go. But they are really, really worth it. They are fantastic. But I'm going to stop talking because my hot cross bun is going to get cold and I want to enjoy this while it's nice and warm and the butter's all melted. So I'm going to shut up and I will see you next time on Big Friendly Grub. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a good Easter regardless of everything that's going on. If you are spending this Easter apart from friends and family, then just make sure you get on the phone or get onto a video call or something and say Happy Easter to them. For me, Easter's about good food and friends and family, and it kind of sucks that we're all stuck apart this year. But it is a crappy situation. We're all in this together, and hopefully this video will give you something to take your mind off things, give yourself something to try something new. So that's it from me. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like. If you're enjoying what I'm doing on the channel, give it a subscribe, all that usual stuff. And I will see you next time on Big Friendly Grub. Take care and have a great Easter. Bye.